And we are recording now. And we don't have anybody in the waiting room, so I'm going to suggest waiting maybe another 5-10 minutes, if that sounds
Sure.
okay with everybody. It is
People
6.
sign
6.
in.
Oh, one person is here.
It looks like we have five or six so far.
That's good. Just a reminder to keep your microphone on mute until you need to speak. Just like a regular board meeting. Sushil, I think your microphone is there. I think I have powers. There we go. I can mute people. This is fun. So Dana Ray just sent a quick thing in the chat, and we are all visible to the attendees. Good to know. Just let me know when I can take it away. Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you to Teesri Duniya Theatre and the Board of Directors Annual General Meeting, or AGM. We are celebrating our 40th anniversary this year since our creation in 1981, and we are really happy to have you here tonight. My name is Carol Ann Fraser, and I am the General Manager at Teesri Duniya Theatre. We are gathering virtually from across Canada, also known as Canada, on the unceded territory of different Indigenous communities. Teesri Duniya Theatre operates and produces our plays on the unceded territory of the Kanyankahaka people, who are the custodians of the lands, waters, and resources. We intend this land acknowledgement to openly discuss our responsibility to redress the generations of colonial violence that is the legacy of the settlers on this land. We encourage everyone to further educate themselves on the historical and current colonial forces that have and continue to shape present-day life across Turtle Island, and to take action to support Indigenous anti-colonial struggles to return these unceded lands, stop the development of pipelines, and end the violence perpetrated against Indigenous peoples and their traditional land. On behalf of our team members and the board of directors, I would like to take a moment to express our company's gratitude to all of our public, foundation, and corporate supporters. We are grateful to the Canada Council for the Arts, le Conseil des Arts et des Lettres du Québec, le Conseil des Arts de Montréal, and the Canadian Heritage. Their support validates the myriad of work that we do. We thank Emploi Québec for trusting us to develop the artistic workforce. We would also like to graciously acknowledge our other financial supporters, Lush Cosmetics, TD Bank, the RBC Foundation, Impacts, the Institute for Health and Social Policy, Business and Arts, the Brian Bronfman Foundation, the Chada Foundation, the Cole Foundation, and the Wushen Michael Jan Foundation. And of course, I cannot forget a sincere, heartfelt thank you to all of our individual donors. Your support and encouragement of our work means the world to us. For practical reasons tonight, and to know whom is participating in the event, we invite you to have your full name and company in your Zoom name. If you have any issues changing this, please send us a quick message in our question and answer box, and either myself or Jana Ray, our wonderful technician tonight, will help you. During this meeting, if you have any questions, you can also type them in the Q&A and we will do our best to assist you. I would like to let you know that this meeting is being recorded for archival purposes and will be made available on our website in early 2022. A quick reminder to our board members tonight, please remember to mute your microphones when you're not speaking. And if you would like to not appear on camera, you can close off your camera. I will now hand it over to our board president, Adrienne Piggott.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you to all of our guests who are with us tonight and to all of the board members as well, and to the team who support us all in the work that we do. Before we get started, I'm reminded that today is the 37th anniversary of the Bhopal tragedy. And in keeping with the statement we made with our land acknowledgement today, I would like us to begin the evening's proceedings with a moment of silence in recognition of those we lost to that tragedy. Thank you. It's fitting that I should be welcoming you on this night as well, because in many ways, those events are how I became the member of the board of Teesri Duniya Theatre. For those of you who don't know, Rahul and I used to be workmates, and one day, as I was dashing from meeting to meeting, I saw the playbill for the Bhopal play that Rahul had written on the wall behind his desk. And I just stopped and I asked him, "What's that? Where did it come from?" And he told me, "It's a play that I wrote." And I immediately asked, "Well, when can I see it? Where can I see it? What is this?" And he told me about the theater company that he had founded and what its mission was, changing the world one play at a time. This spoke to me so deeply because we live in a world that is changing one moment to the next, not always in ways that we understand or can control or even necessarily can accept. But with the work that Rahul has done, with the work that Teesri has done, we've also helped to craft parts of the world in ways that we wish to see it change. By bringing people together who would not otherwise have found each other, by telling stories and helping to share visions that would not necessarily have intersected otherwise. I noticed that in our attendees tonight, we have one of our own playwrights. And that's really meaningful because it shows the ways in which we touch the lives of so many by bringing their stories to communities that otherwise would not have heard them. I don't know that if you look around at the faces that make up the board, if this group of people would have found each other in another way, but we found each other through storytelling. We found each other through an understanding that we share so much of common humanity, of common ideas, of common lived experience, even if we always believed that oceans separated us or borders separated us or ideas separated us. We are much closer than we thought. The last year has been difficult. The last 2 years have been difficult. At the last AGM, we thought we would be able to be together tonight, seeing each other in person, embracing each other. And that's yet again not possible. The news is not always good every day. But when I attend these events, even virtually, and I see the people who choose to share these moments with us, I'm reminded that there's always good news. The good news is us. The good news is the people who choose to find hope when that's not always easy, to look to each other and out into the world for the ideas that lift us up, for the people who lift us up, and for all of the strength and wisdom and beauty and magic that we can build together, even when times are hard. We may be heading into another difficult year, but we have all of the tools that we need to move forward, to carry each other, to lift each other up. We are far more similar than we are dissimilar. Our stories are far more connected than they are disconnected. We are, if anything, far more one people now than we have ever known ourselves to be. And I think that that's the moment of this pandemic year, yet again, pandemic year take two, that we take with us. We really are all in this together, no matter what we look like, no matter where we've come from. We know now, if we didn't know it before, that we are one and that our stories align and that we need each other, and that if there's any way through all of this, it's together. I'm grateful for Teesri. I'm grateful to this community. I'm grateful to our supporters. And I'm grateful that we have in us the hope and the strength and the stories to carry us into the next year, into the next century. We have so much more to share, more stories to embrace, more people to touch, more lives to change, and a world to build. We craft it one play at a time. And I thank you all for joining us in that mission. I'm grateful that we have these attendees with us tonight to celebrate the year that we've just had, because despite the lockdowns and the inability to stage a play on a big stage the way we are accustomed to doing, we have found ways to make art and to touch lives and to share stories. And so that we don't have to spend too much time listening to just me talk, we'll get through the first formal step of the meeting, which is I will share the agenda and hopefully the members of the board will approve. So tonight's agenda will be the election of the president and the secretary of the meeting, the presentation by our artistic director and founder, Rahul Varma, presentation of the financial statements by our treasurer, the nomination and election of the board, a quiz on Teesri's 40-year history, and now I'm worried because I know there are things I don't know, an open discussion and questions from any and all attendees, and finally, the closing of the meetings. Do I have two members who are willing to approve the agenda? From Rasul and Sushil. Thank you both. Noted. So now we have to move on to the election of the president and the secretary. As I say every year, I'm only president as long as you choose me. And while I'll be a little sad when you decide not to choose me anymore, I know that no one should be president forever. So beginning with the election of your secretary, I changed my mind. I don't want to go first, I'm nervous. We have for secretary, one of our new board members, Amina. Amina, do you want to say a few words before we vote?
I am just so happy to have found y'all, and it's such an honor to be part of this team. It's just such an honor.
Well, we're grateful that you found us. So now to the vote. Do I have a nominator? James, seconder Sushil. All in favor, please raise your hands. And it's unanimous. You are our secretary. Congratulations and welcome, and we are very grateful. Uh-oh, the scary part. The vote for the president. I've spoken enough already, and I won't say anything else to get myself in trouble. So, do I have a nominator? Sushil? And a seconder,
yeah.
Amina? Okay, the vote. I won't look. Oh wait, I have to tabulate. Oh, it looks like you are keeping me. I'm grateful. Thank you so much for your vote of confidence. I am very grateful, and I will endeavor to be worthy of your support once again, but you know where to find me if I make any missteps. Moving on to the artistic director's report, which I know everyone is excited to see. Rahul, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I will present my report. And as I said, I am very grateful to Caroline, because I could not run the screen share. So she has stepped in to help me with that.
I'm getting it ready now.
Yeah, my annual report is not report just of 1 year of activity, but a total cultural context in which this company exists, because it's not going to be just the recent past, but the ancient past also, because in many ways that past, at least in some part, lives as a present. So I do think it is important to give the cultural context and historical journey that leads us to do what we do, and the more recent activities, the way they have happened. Now, there's going to be a presentation that will come, a slide will come, but I just want to sort of preempt that slide, that when in 1981, when we started, obviously the stage was very monochromatic. The minorities, cultural minorities and indigenous communities were grossly missing. The situation has changed. It's not the same anymore. There is inclusion, there is participation, but this inclusion also does not guarantee the equity, does not guarantee the equal representation. So this was one of the reasons why I said that some of the past is still the present. So we are interested in kind of an equity that is inclusion that is non-exploitative inclusion. We are interested in equity and diversity particularly that is progressive in its nature and not simply a display. 10 years ago, Ted Little wrote an article, "Are We There Yet?" And that has been a key for me. So taking that editorial in all theater from Ted, I am going to present my report in context of how we are today. So my title is going to be Teesri at 40, since we are celebrating our 40th anniversary. We can move to the next slide, Caroline. So here it is, the Canada's National Theatre was very Eurocentric, very monochromatic. Diversity and indigeneity were an exception, not a norm. And Teesri Duniya was formed to represent the cultural diversity as our national heritage and also to represent nation of shared value. Now, that said, the notion of cultural diversity was excluded from the art funding due to the systemic discrimination, which in many forms continues to exist. A hierarchy existed, which was in a descending order. It was the white French Canadians, the cultural other, and the indigenous people. Inequality was expressed in the form of production value, frequency with which the colored minorities could produce their work, the length of their production, the absence of venue for the colored minorities, and the availability of the resources. I want to emphasize that we are not talking about inequity in the theater as an abstract or imaginary situation. I want to define that what inequity meant. The production value that was assigned to work that was considered so-called formal, coming from the founding father heritage, was considered formal, and everything else was informal, and therefore it was given a lower patronage and it was given a lower social value. The plays could not be produced to the same length as the dominant plays. And to date, there is not a single company of artists of color, a community of color, that owns its own venue. So all the claim of the sharing of the democratic goods, Canada being a country where art is a public policy, that inequity was manufactured at a very top level, and we are in an ongoing struggle to correct that. I can move to the next one, Caroline. So our answer to those things was that we believe in multiculturalism is a framework to tell the stories of the communities that are marginalized by the mainstream. We do not think that the multiculturalism is something to celebrate, but it is a framework. It is to tell the stories that have been marginalized. It's not costume, it's not customs, it's not festivals, it's not color, but a storytelling. We believe in importance of investing in writers dedicated to progressive, and I underscore progressive, feminist, indigenous, and culturally diverse stories. It is very important for a company such as Teesri Duniya Theatre that says the change the world win one play at a time. We have to be boldly progressive, and that is what we support. We want to create more writers because it's only when the writers are there to write our story, the actors will have an opportunity to perform and represent us to the community. We believe equity, not only in a monetary sense, but equity in terms of culture, in terms of sexual identity, and in terms of linguistic identity. We believe that we are not merely the diversity in order to display ourselves, but be prophetic about it, do a politically relevant, life-affecting theater, and tell the transformational stories. See, the conventional world is very aware of its colonial heritage. And that is expressed through the dominant cultures who come from the history of what is described as the founding fathers, or nowadays the discussion is settlers. If the diversity becomes the same, in other words, it takes away the progressive component from it, then it'll be more of the same, and we may not be talking about changing the world one play at a time. We not be changing about the transformational society. So our emphasis is not symbolic, it's realistic, and it is progressive. We can move to the next one, Caroline. So these are the things we want to achieve: racial equality and cultural equality in the arts, equalization in the employment for the BIPOC and the marginalized artists. It is absolutely important to lay down the criteria of what equalization is, what equity is, what opportunities are, because these discussions continue to happen, and over time they lose meaning, and answers are cryptic. But we want to define that it is in the employment, it is in the representation, it is in the participation. And we wish to do that by producing prophetic, clearly political, culturally diverse plays. We do the very intense advocacy for what for the minority communities, for equal opportunities, and what is a sort of and consider it a Canadian project. And the struggle for equity continues to go, but eventually I would make this prediction that sometime in the future, this equity in a capitalist system will not be possible. There is a contradiction here. So it'll have to take a socialist form. And that's a long battle, but let's continue on equity on that. Now, for those who did not know, these were the background, and as a result of all that, despite the formation in 1981, Teesri received its public arts funding only mid-90s. So this company not just lived all that time, but it survived. And that was one of my reasons for you to give this context. So we can move to the next one, Caroline, please. So you see that these are some of the past production we did. And I think that what I'd like to emphasize here is that at no point we were ethnocentric. From the very inception, the idea of the cultural bridging and respecting the people who lived in this country and representing them on the stage, at the same stage all the time, was part of our practice. The plays that you see here, they are representing the Afro-Canadian community, their Latino communities, the indigenous community, the South Asian community, Anglophone community, Francophone community, mixed race community, all that. So this, to us, all I'm saying here is that our company, and I'm going to mention the name of my co-founder, Rana Bose. He may be here. For us, this connection to various communities was from the very beginning. The same way as the dominant culture was very aware of its colonial heritage, we were very aware of plurality. And that is what it has played. Now, these are not all the plays that we have done. There are more, but this is a kind of a sample. It is basically locally rooted, but also the other trajectory is that sometimes we venture into a limited number of areas that are areas of human rights, the area of feminism, area of war and peace and environment. And at that time, our local plays also become global plays, such as Bhopal, such as Truth and Treason, such as State of Denial, such as Reading Hebron, etc. So we can move, Caroline, to the next. So you see, look, this fantastic slide. Wow. These are our directors. From 2003 onwards, company only relies on women directors. You're going to see that from the very young to much senior directors are here. And we have not felt that by not working with the male directors, we have missed out much. You'll see on the left-hand side, the names of various writers, the women writers, women directors whose work has been produced. And some of them are still like, I could not get the picture of Azra and Nina Liakino and Nadine Belasin, but these people. So that's our commitment to what we say is the representation of the women. See, the 26% women are expressed on the stages, even though the population of that goes to see the plays is male population. The women population that goes to see plays is more than, sorry, I'm going to say it again. The female population that goes to see the plays is higher than male population, yet only 26% get to play and get to direct and get to lead. We've changed that. We can move. And so one of the things is that idea of inclusion was to create the opportunity for the artist of color to get unionized jobs and the better salaries. In order for that to happen, we did not have to rely on clicking the diversity box, but offering a story. That was their story. What was missing is not click the diversity box. What was missing was that we were not presenting the story where comprehensively the people of color were telling what their life was like. So over our very short period of time, despite all that funding disparities and all that, we have over the 40 years, directly helped many artists, more than 200 plus colored artists. We have produced 65 productions, and they have included the African, South Asian, Asian, Middle Eastern, Latino, Indigenous, mixed race, and Anglo-French communities. If we get better patronage, this slide will begin to look thicker and bigger. We can move forward. I think that one of the very important thing that, as I mentioned, is that we invest very heavily on writers, and we invest on writers on a one-to-one basis. It's not, the collectively as well as one-to-one, because actors come, perform, and move on to the next production, but the writers would create something, and that will live on a literary shelf. It will tell their story, and it will become part of the educational system. The creation, the writing is the very first step for the acting and for the representation to occur. There are 15 plays written on behalf of our company. Majority of them are by me. But people who have been with us, like Rana, he has his very healthy body of plays published himself. We have had translation in 4 different languages. We have 6 of our plays anthologized, so therefore there is an impact of that in academia. We've been included in the Modern Canadian Drama, 4th volume, which was the first South Asian play that got there. It had not happened. We have several books, big books written by Ted Little and Dennis Salter, Ted, our editor of the All Dot Theatre. many chapters written in various important journals on immigration, on theater practice, on human rights, and performance. So, and we have had the all theater, which ran for over the 20 years. Unfortunately, we had to close that magazine. So I'm talking about some permanency of our experience in the form of literature. So if the complaint ever is that why our schools are teaching the same kind of a material all the time, and their claim that we don't have much, no, we do have much, you just do not take it. So let's move to the next, Caroline. So I want to just talk to you a little bit about past year. That was just a bit of a history. Past year, we were the last play that shut down because of the COVID. It ran only for 2 days. Counter Offense. Counter Offense is a play about the race and violence. Our director, Ariana Barsono, wrote a very profound note that she wishes that the need for this play had changed. Unfortunately, it did not. So we thought that this would be a fitting play to produce. Unfortunately, it closed just after 2 nights, and with a very wonderful production under her leadership. And we're going to remount it with most of the same cast, and because we made the commitment that anything that we had decided to produce, we will not shed any of that. So Counter Offense will come back. You're going to see a slide later on. So let's move to the next one here. Now, I did not, because of the COVID, change the value of the performance, value of the live performance from our activities. Many of colleagues, many of the companies rushed into producing the digital play and so on and so forth. No, we did not do it, because we went into connecting with the newer ways with our public. We did the webinar going public with the students for consent. We did the webinar on Law 21 and systemic racism as a part of the Muslim Awareness Week, and it took a stand against Islamophobia. Presentation I made and the international conference, Shastri Indo-Canadian Studies and the Social Movement, Performance and Democratic Practices. Online presentation of the Canadian Studies and the global at the Jadavpur University. So challenges of perspective on borders. We did the webinar on the cultural resistance against fascism. We drew attention to the farmers in India. Artists United Against Racism. We did anti-webinar against denouncing the racism against the Asian community and against the Black community. Online workshop was carried out of Summer's play going public. Online workshop was presented as Stephen Orloff's play Engagement. It was right at the time the Gaza was bombarded. Our students went live, despite the COVID, they went doing the live outreach in a park. Rial was so fantastic in that. And finally, we did a webinar called After Occupation. This was about US leaving Afghanistan, leaving the women of Afghanistan that it claimed to have gone to protect, leaving them at the mercy of the Taliban. So we had a fantastic panel discussion on that. And Julie launched our new website. I invite you all to go and see the website. And I think I just pay attention, please. The Julie's name is written in English and in Chinese. The day Canada becomes truly pluralistic, you will see more of that. And it's so beautiful. We can move forward, Caroline. So these are our people. We have more people working with that. And look, man, guys, this is such a beautiful image. So you have I'm the older guy in this. Everyone else is younger. And so what we say is, all our commitment have to be reflected. I think the people are the motive force. So we just cannot do the work without bringing the people for real with us. Simulating people's reality is not the way of doing the work. Actually, engaging them is the way to do. So this is our staff, and I'm so proud of them. Let's move to the next one, Caroline. And so our fireworks, as I said, that we emphasize the idea of creating the new works. So these are all our playwrights in the making. Lidi and Lib Spry are leading 2 simultaneous workshop, working individually with these writers to create new works. So you are going to see there is an indigenous representation, the diversity representation, even the mainstream representation, and this is this will go on the literary shelf of this country. So so we're very proud of creating a playwriting program with an ideological backbone where the intercultural dramaturgy is the way of creating the plays. So their plays will be showcased very soon in less than a couple of weeks. We can move, Caroline. So this is our next season, what it looks like, the counter offense at the Seagull Center in March 2022. It will start March 14th. Rehearsal will start very soon. And you can see the cast is just extremely beautiful and powerful. So Ariana is directing, and that guy wrote the play. So we'll move to the next one. The Psycho 6 is a play that we developed in our fireworks series, and Liz Valdez is going to direct. Oliver is a local playwright, he's a local performer, and the play Psycho 6 addresses the concerns of the inner city youth. We have not had much of a history of doing the plays that thematically were of the younger population. So this is one area that we are handling. So we can move to the next one. This is a Meet Me, a collaborative production with Live Action Theatre Project, Julia Ainsworth and Rosa Ruby Kagan. The play addresses the sexual harassment, which is a sort of a rampant problem and continues to be brushed aside. So the simultaneous projects are going on in the company, going public, with Summer leading it, Meet Me with Julia and Rosa Ruby, and this thing will be produced as soon as we are given the go-ahead. But all in all, our season consists of 3 full productions, a very impressive fireworks reading, and few other surprise activities that will come later. So some of the other events, this is Julie. We will be featuring her work at the Asian Heritage Festival in the month of May, I believe, yes. A play written by her and performed by her, Never Walk Alone will be presented. At the same time, Lady Sunrise by playwright Marjorie Chan, who is also the artistic director of Pasmarai Theatre in Toronto. So we're very happy to bring her here. We're very happy to show Julie's work. She's a local playwright, training herself in the National Theatre School. And we are organizing a very elaborate panel called Artists United Against Racism, because this will continue to be a struggle. We see we are not just agitating about to end racism, but we want to build a racial respect across cultures. The idea of doing this webinar series, Artists United Against Racism, is not just to react against the presence of racism, but also build better relationship across the community. So the racism is not the defining factor, and we are in Canada not engaged all the time in the racist struggle. So this activity will be coming. We will finish it before February 2022. This webinar, the racism thing. So we can move to the next one. These are the people who financially support us. And we can move to the next one. And these are the people who really support us. So with that, I think I just want to thank our board for trusting me. I want to thank my colleagues, staff for trusting me. I've set up some goals that financial situation of the company will be much better. This year has demonstrated that it is much better. I would like to have continue to work on that in the next few years, increase it so that we can have a permanent staff, full-time, working all the time, no worries about it. And hopefully we will have our own home. So with that, I will stop and I thank you very much. I'll answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Rahul. That was absolutely wonderful. I'm so excited for the new season. And I see that our board member Dipti has arrived from her long day of teaching. Thank you so much for joining us. Rahul, that was absolutely wonderful. I am particularly excited to see the staging of Psycho 6. I was there when we did the staged reading of the play when it was just completed, and it was absolutely mesmerizing. So this is going to be wonderful. So exciting to see what we have already in the works. As I said at the beginning, the pandemic did not slow us down. We just kept going full steam ahead. So much to share. Next on the agenda today is, or this evening, is our treasurer, who will show you that we've also been fiscally responsible during this pandemic. We've done quite well for ourselves, if I do say so myself, and Sushil will share those numbers with you now. You have control.
Okay, as soon as I can figure out what I have to do. Just bear with me for a minute. Oh, that was easier than I thought. Okay. This was all intentional. First, you have an inspiring, eloquent speech by Adrian. Then we had a real fantastic presentation of achievements by Rahul. And now comes the boring stuff. So I'll make sure that it will go fast. So as Rahul alluded to, that we have been careful we have made good progress in last many years from Rahul's side in obtaining grants, and on the board side in making sure that we spend within our means. So we are doing well, and I'm very quickly going to go through our financial statement in the year past. It's mostly clear and obvious. We had, first I'll just go through the income statement, which means revenues and expenses. We had about $100,000 in terms of operating grants and for publishing production and publication projects, another $96,000 in revenues, and we had some other revenues such as fundraising from donations and so on, we had a total income of 230,000 last year, and we spent $220,000. Now, so most of it is really, there's quite a bit in administration because, we still had employees, they need to be paid. But we, as Rahul said, while we were, and our president, she also alluded to that we were not just sitting on our laurels, we were still busy. So we are still doing things, even if it was not a large scale production. So we did spend $220,000 in expenses, and we had an excess of revenue over expenses of $10,000. In terms of balance sheet, we had from previous years, we have had in assets about $385,000. And in terms of liabilities, we have very little liabilities, but we have deferred contribution. Deferred contribution simply means that we had the monies which we had received from various grants, but they were earmarked for a certain project which did not happen to take place for whatever reason. So those monies have been put aside, those envelopes have been put aside, and they will be used as we spend them when that project takes place. So for example, for Cycle 6 this year, or some of the money which we had saved, which we will be doing for counter offense, and for Meet Me, which will happen in the fall of next year, and so on. So basically, this is how we are going to be managing. I will be showing you the budget very quickly, very soon. And just to give you a peek of those deferred expenses, this is basically, it shows that, there are certain, for example, RBC Foundation, we received some money for the playwrights to write plays. We had received some, we spent some, we still have some left. Cole Foundation, the same kind of thing, and Brian Bronfman Foundation, and so on. So, and much of it will get used, whether it will be Julie Phan's project or some of the other projects. So that's basically in terms of our financial statement year ending 30th of June 2021. At the annual general meeting, we are also obliged to show you the budget for the next year. So I will show you, just bear with me for a minute. Okay, so this year, as Rahul said, that, we are hoping that things will only get better as far as the pandemic is concerned, and we will be able to do many plays this year, starting January or starting in the spring. So we are certainly hoping to do at least 2 plays before the June of 2022. We are also, we have already been promised monies from CALC, from Ville de Montréal, Conseil des Arts de Montréal. So we have budgeted already $300,000 in terms of provincial grants. There is also another grant which is not included in this budget because this budget was prepared a month and a half ago, but we have since then we have heard that we have received another grant, which and we will be working on that grant very soon, sometimes next year, the project will start. So we will be working on that. And we are hoping to raise through corporations and so on, and another $127,000 and so on. So we hope to raise, we hope to have a revenue of about $437,000. If you want to compare with last year, we had about $231,000. So it sort of gives you an idea that not only that we'll have more revenue, but some of it, of course, when we make this budget, the part of the reason is not because suddenly the granting bodies have become much more generous, is because some of that money, which if you remember, we had deferred, we are now taking those envelopes out and are ready to spend. So those monies are being put here from those envelopes. So that's how we have. And we will be now, as a consequence, we'll be spending almost $495,000. Most of it is in theater production. As you can see that artistic overhead is $61,000, but we have artistic personnel, $103,000, sets, another $50,000. So a total production of almost $215,000. And then we have payrolls for employees and administrative expense and so on. So we are not concerned even if we show a little bit of deficit, because we think some of this in this budget, we have included some of the expenses which we thought we might do that play in before June, but now it looks like the play will only be done in the fall of 22. So that means it will go in the next year's budget. So our deficit will not be as much as it shows. So I think we are doing fine as far as the company is concerned. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask now or later. That's about it. You can go to more fun part of quiz if you like, Madam President.
I actually like the numbers as well. It's reassuring to know that we are still going on the upswing. The last several years have been very encouraging. Thank you so much, Sushil, for presenting and for doing all the hard work. I know that most of us don't have the head for numbers that you have, and are very grateful that you're here doing all of this heavy lifting for those of us who would not even know where to begin. So very, very grateful. Thank you. The next item on our agenda tonight is the nomination and election of the other members of the board. So we've done the secretary and the president, and now the remaining members. I would like to ask all board members who would like to renew their engagement as board members of Teesri Duniya Theatre by giving a thumbs up on your screen. So current board who wish to be board still, just put your hand up or put the hand up on the screen. Amina, you were just voted in and you don't want to stay? That would be very sad. So it looks like all of us are staying, which is wonderful. So I will record that in the minutes. The current board stays. I'm extremely pleased. But I would also like to take this opportunity to invite anyone who is here today or who knows of anyone who'd be interested in becoming a member of Teesri's board to let us know. You can either let us know in the chat or write to us later on if you're interested in joining. We're also particularly interested in having younger members join or people who have connections to the Francophone community. Teesri's board is a living board. We are all actively engaged with the company and would welcome new members and new faces who have energy to contribute. So if you are interested, you can, as I said, write to the chat or write to the company. using the email address that you've seen either in Drumbeat or through one of us that I'm sure you know already. Moving on from there, it's time for the really fun part. Rusul's quiz on the history of Teesri. So Rusul, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Wonderful. Take us through it.
So I don't know if Dipti wants to give a little introduction. I know she had something to say, so I don't know if you want
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rasul. So excited to be here, and especially to have some friends who are actually joined in and can also get to know the history. What is exciting and interesting is that Rasul, who is a fairly new board member, I guess, has been with us for just a little bit over a year now.
Yeah.
And what is exciting is that the best way to get to know Teesri is to have a game, and that's what she has managed to organize. So while we are doing this, I really thank Rasul for creating this fantastic PowerPoint, asking the right questions to bring a lot of energy back. It will be interesting to know, unlike Rasul, who's actually just been there for a whole year now, I want to see how many of the board members really know our history. So I will be keeping a tab of this. Rahul, you're not allowed to answer because you gave us quite a few of the answers, but I want people like Miss Adrian and Sushil. We want to put them in and Carol Ann, who has joined us also. Let's see how much of the history do you really know. Amina, you've been actually with us recently and a new recruit also. All of you will get to know a little bit of the history. James, I'm hoping you will win this because the prize is a dinner cooked by Rahul. Okay, whoever wins this, Rasul, and you will be invited for actually doing this whole thing right now. So please, these three members as well as attendees, you can actually write down your answers and I'll be keeping a tab of this. Fantastic. All right, let's go, Rasul.
All right.
Just so you know, there's a challenge in the chat because Karim says he's going to win this.
Oh my God. Definitely. I want as many people to come over and break bread with us, and especially because Rahul did not even know that that was the, the prize money.
All right, so everybody's ready. Let me just find, give me a second.
It's also too late. You've already voted me back in. So no matter how poorly I do, you can't vote me out. I'm just saying that now.
All right, so can everybody see the screen?
Yep, yep.
All right, perfect. Okay, so it's a quiz about the history of Teesri. It has been 40 years of changing the world one play at a time. So let's see how much of history do you know about Teesri. So first question is, what was Teesri Duniya's first play? So is it The Celestial Cow, Julus, or Ektagada? I don't know if I said that right. Sorry.
Jules.
So you can write your answers, or you can just, say them out loud.
Say them out loud so that I can actually, or just put them here so that I can keep a tab of who's winning.
Julus.
Julus, okay. Do you know when it got produced? Do you know the year?
1981, I guess.
Oh my God, Sushil, you're getting this.
Well, I do math.
Any other answers?
Karim is saying 1823.
That's when Rahul wrote it. So.
I'm not going to get any of these.
Celestial Cow was produced in 1983. Julius was 1981. And
Oh,
Eclipse
see, I got that one.
was 1982. So the correct answer was
Julius.
Julius. Right, so name 2 plays that were translated in other languages.
Where the Blood Mixes and Bhopal.
Okay.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
might be more than one answer to that, but
Yeah,
Do you have
that's
any other answers?
Bhopal and Truth and Denial.
I was going to say counter offense and
Counter.
yeah, and
Okay.
truth and treason.
All right.
Guys, I'm having fun.
Where the blood mixes, Laula Song Seman.
Answer.
Karim, you want to answer?
well, it's Bhopal and where the blood mixes.
All right. So their answers are Bhopal, counter offense, and truth and treason.
But actually, I think what others have said also is the blood mixes is there.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah,
the Blood
I-
Mixes was
that's
English
fine,
and
that's fine,
French.
Okay. So that one I did not include it, but yeah, that was also a correct answer.
So Adrian and James and Kareem, many people got this one.
No, I got it too. I said
Yeah,
Truth and
Tamika
Denial.
did say also a correct answer.
Me too,
Okay.
I got it right.
And
Yeah, so did
previous
I.
one to Dipti, what kind of score are you keeping?
I'm keeping a very good score. Don't worry.
Okay, okay.
I'm entering into chat too, so
I'm
And
looking at
what
it.
was the name of the play that was translated in Italian? Does anybody know?
oh, let's play music.
That's not me.
Kareem, go ahead.
Disoriented.
Nope.
Bridges of Hope.
Nope.
That wasn't a play, counteroffense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Got it.
I thought it might have been a different play, but okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It was called something else, but we didn't. I mean, Rahul had to give us a name.
Okay.
Il Caso Farhadi.
Yes. Il Casa
There you
Farhadi.
go. Okay, well,
That's
yeah.
it.
In the Farhadi house. I think Rahul answered this in his presentation, this question.
Yes.
Yeah, he actually did give answers during his presentation. So let's see who actually paid attention to Rahul's presentation.
I have notes.
Okay.
65? I thought it was 95.
Is it the same play which was L'Affaire Farhadi?
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see.
I
I
got that
one.
I got that point.
I'm sorry.
I got that point.
Oh, Kareem is the one who's muffled. Kareem, just write down your answers. That'd be
Yeah.
better.
Does it sound on your cell phone audio? It sounds like you're in a bar, Kareem. I don't know.
All right.
Anyways, okay.
So how many plays has Teesri produced in total since 1981? I'll just take the closest answer to the actual answer. Like whoever can guess closest will be the winner for this question.
So write it down.
67.
Around 95, so.
I said 67.
7.
40.
Or it might have
75.
been 91.
91. Okay.
75.
Yeah, it might be 91. I thought 95,
Not many.
but it might be 91.
Actually, has been more than 50 since 1981. So whoever guessed.
41 is the right. Actually, closest is 41, Christina.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving along.
All right. So how many plays have been directed by women?
Need a number, huh?
Or you can actually also list If you actually can list them, you get extra point for that if you can list
Oh my God.
at
It would
least
take
5.
forever. That would take a long time, actually.
26.
30.
That's a good number.
Okay, let's put them down.
All right,
I was
so I
gonna
actually
say-
wrote
I was going to say 27.
27. So I actually wrote a couple of them. So we have Noah's Ark by Paulina, Misoriented by Sarah Stanley, People Powered, directed by Nina, Where the Blood Mixes, Letters from My Grandma, A Story and a Song, Leaf in a Whirlwind, State of Denial, Corpus Directed, Birthmark, My Name is Rachel, and the upcoming Counter Offense, which is directed by Ariana. So those are only to name a few. I actually did not get the actual answer for that, so I don't know. Like,
So I think Afrina has the closest. Is 16, close to 15, or
Oh,
you know.
really? Oh, okay.
Yes. So Afrina over here has the right answer.
Okay. So what play has had a controversial reception here in Quebec?
No Man's Land.
No Man's Land, yeah.
Can you actually say why it was controversial?
Yes.
Because it was about
I should
the
disqualify myself.
because it was after the the Oka crisis.
No, sorry, that was another one.
It was
Oh,
refused
that
at
was about the trees.
Yeah, so No Man's Land had the controversy because we were denied venue because of the content of that was assumed to be anti-separatist.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, No Man's Land. It's a story about like Muslim migrants from India, and people thought it was making connection with Quebec wanting to separate from the rest of the country, and they booked the booking got canceled. So the point goes to Sushil for guessing that right. That was No Man's Land. All right, so name some of the indigenous plays that Teesri has produced.
Where the Blood Mixes, since I saw it 8 times.
Almighty Voice and His Wife, I think.
Well, there was the play which was played at Centaur, but I forget the name now.
Land Where the Trees Talk.
Yes, Land Where the Trees Talk.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
you're not allowed to.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Now you can make us food.
All right, so yeah, Where the Blood Mixes, Là où le sang se mêle.
Land Where the Trees Talk, yeah.
Yeah, Land Where the Trees Talk, and Almighty Voice and His Wife.
So I think Adrian got the maximum, or who got it? Almighty Voice, James. Okay. All right, I've got the answer.
So what is the name of the play that dealt with the topic of beauty pageant?
Misoriented.
Oriented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Misoriented.
Correct.
I have the postcard for that one framed at my house.
Oh, really? Okay. All right, so who was
Oh, the spelling, there's a
Yeah.
typo there.
Habib Tanvir.
Yes, Sushil got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe the picture gave it away, but yeah.
Oh.
And James, for this one, you're not allowed to. Oh,
James.
I like
Wow.
that picture. This is a self-portrait I did in studio.
This is so beautiful, James.
I know
I'm
one
growing the beard
person
again.
who certainly did not, so
Yeah.
it has to be one or two. It
It-
can't
it's,
be.
Well-
it's never too late, Sushil.
Sushil, I can tell you that we can count ourselves out, so I know who it is.
yeah.
It has to be number one.
This is just a
We
fun thing.
won.
It's also to inspire the board members at some point to actually become directors too.
Yeah. So
I'll act. Sushil, you can direct me.
there's an idea for now. So how many plays has Rahul written since?
Give me a number.
16.
Okay. We'll pick the closest to the actual answer.
Yeah, it's about 15, 16. Yeah.
12.
I'm going to say 12. Yeah. I
Okay.
thought it was a few less, but start naming them. But
All right.
Okay.
So equal wages, isolated incident, no man's land, trading injuries, truth and treason, Bhopal, counter offense, state of denial, for you Jafroon, and Babumapti Kapitaro.
Bhanumatika Pitara.
Yes.
That's okay. So Afrina got the actually answer because she said 10.
Mhm.
did you not write land with the trees talk? I thought he also wrote that.
Oh,
Maybe-
shucks. Yes, land where the trees talk. We didn't write that.
Oh yeah.
This is a bit flawed.
And job stealer.
Mhm.
Job stealer, yeah.
Oh, so
Isn't it?
12. So I think
12.
Adrian, you had it. Caroline and Adrian.
Mhm.
I said 12.
So we are
Rahul,
learning
how
as
many
we
I also
go.
said 12.
James
Can
said 12
Rahul
as well.
verify?
Say 12 too.
I said 16 because he's going to write more.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yes. Well, he's said at least two already.
He's already working on
To go.
some.
Good point. Good point.
And which magazine has Teesri produced?
Oh,
Alt,
that theater.
That theater.
Uh-huh. So yeah, and I did provide like one picture. So what was the human rights project in India that Teesri produced?
What was the name of the project?
Yeah. Oh, I do remember this, but the name of it.
Yes, that is where you get the part. The point. Okay. No
That was
more
Bill-
pressure.
Place?
I thought it was building bridges, but maybe that's
Mm,
local.
No, building bridges is the one that Rahul has always done in terms of doing photographs or poetry and so on.
Yeah.
Is during the show.
Mhm.
Anyone?
Oh, well, I gave the answer. Too late. So
Right here, right now.
yeah. And who was the director of that project? Anyone knows?
Ted.
Dr. Ted Little.
I don't know why his name. I think it's gonna pop. There you go. All right, so that's the end of the quiz.
Yay.
I don't
Well
know.
So
done.
Rasool actually picked up this fantastic quote. The word theater comes from the Greeks. It means the seeing world. It is a place people come to see the truth about life and the social situation. The theater is a spiritual and social X-ray of its time. Stella Adler from New York Times in December 1992. We were trying to find other quotations also, and I'm sure there will be some amazing quotations from this group also, as they say. And one of the best ones that we have always adhered to and embraced is changing the world one play at a time. Thank you all for participating. And I shall say that Rahul should definitely give a dinner
Mhm.
to all the board members very soon. And the actual winner of this and is a tie between Sushil, Adrian, and Christina. So Christina, as a new board member, I'm pretty impressed
Yeah.
at how much you have managed to do. So there will be a good dinner very soon in the new year.
Yeah, festive dinner for all.
Oof.
All right. So thank you so much for playing along with us, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Like we'll see you physically. We can hug and chat and have a cup of tea or coffee or whatever. And yeah, and please subscribe to our Drumbeat newsletter. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe, comment, like all of that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this, Dipti and Rasool.
Mainly Rasool.
I learned so much.
Thank you, Rasool and Dipti.
Well, it's been my pleasure. I learned a lot.
That's
Yep.
the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm also glad I was top 3 because I was really worried.
I just wanna plug in, Adrian, you were saying that I can direct and you will act. I just want to say that before Teesri was born, I was doing some acting. It pre-Teesri days. Rahul was involved and Rana and all these people. And I even did, I was even involved in a play in Punjabi. And at the same time, going and doing the master of ceremony because I was the only one who spoke Punjabi. In the Teesri Duniya.
Wonderful.
Also,
Well, I
add that Rahul has done his time on stage as an actor as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, we
and
all
so
did that.
and yeah, and I started as an actor, so
Yeah.
Amazing.
Rahul and Rana probably would write the plays, and then I
Well,
think Leacock building basement. I think we would do the plays.
You definitely would have to do some acting in that place because
Yeah.
what a dungeon. But I went to an all-girls school and we put on a production of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, which literally has 2 female parts, all male cast. So I played Caesar.
Wow.
It was pretty funny. We had a good time. The best part though was we had the 300 girls singing the Carmina Burana, and it was actually quite beautiful to have 300 voices singing that together. So the production was a lot of fun, even though it was odd having all these girls running around as Roman centurions. We had a lot of fun.
And
Well, yes, Rahul, please.
yeah, no, I just wanted to say that I saw as the name came here, artistic director of MT Space Theatre, Pam Patel was here. So it's an honor to have Pam here, but I think she just left.
Oh no,
So before
thank
I
you
could
so much.
acknowledge it, but so I will write a note to her and thanks
Please.
that
Yes.
a director from another province has joined us. So that was very nice. And if there are any questions, I would be very happy to answer.
The floor is now to all of our guests and of course board members as well. But if anyone has questions for us, now is your time. The floor is yours. You can open your mics since we are a small group. Can they open their mics? I have no idea. I've said that without knowing.
Yes, we've now given access to anyone. So if you'd like, you can write in the chat or you can unmute yourself. And it's your choice if you want to stay on camera or not. Just remember that this is being recorded for archival purposes.
Well, I'll say for myself that I'm really happy to see Karim here. Hi, Karim. I know your camera is off, but I'm happy to see you. Who else is here? Julie, that I've never met, but whose photo I've seen and whose artwork I've admired. So welcome aboard and thank you so much for the work you did on the website. It's gorgeous.
Hey, thank you. Congratulations on being president again.
Now we have to call you
awesome president. We do
Madam,
have an awesome president. Sorry.
It's Madam President, right? Madam President. We'll get you a little sign for your desk.
Yes. Well, I even did my hair for the AGM. Can you tell?
It's beautiful.
Yes.
You and Rahul.
Yeah.
And there's Amisha and Ishita, Afrina. I'm sure there's Rafe as well, and Alessandra. There are quite a few. So thank you for joining us.
So many people. This is great.
And
So now is your time. Ask your questions. Or join the board.
Yes, join the board. That's actually always fun. And if you can actually, in fact, it'll be great to give us suggestions also.
It's not fair that there are no samosas.
I know.
True. Everything is better with food.
So I want to take the chance to thank Karim. It's been, we miss him. He was a great part of the company. And So we remember him every day. But Karim, thank you very much. We miss you, and we totally admire what you did for us.
Yeah. Grateful. Yes.
What
a
did
lot of
Karim
gratitude.
do? What did Karim do? Tell us.
Karim was our former development officer, and he moved to the Canada Council for the Arts, CADAC, which is the Canadian Arts Database that takes all of the financials for every nonprofit arts organization across the country. So we miss him greatly, but he still stays in good touch with us.
Yeah. A lot of fondness, and there'll always be room at the Teesri table for Karim. So always welcome to come visit. Well, if there are no questions, other than telling everyone how grateful I am that you're all here and that you're all you and that you've joined us and spent an evening here with us, I'm just excited that you've come. Wait, I just saw no question, just really interested to hear more about the history and upcoming productions. Okay, Rahul, you are the keeper of history and upcoming productions.
Amisha was there in the beginning, so she's just saying that it's nice to know about the history. So I think she heard all of that.
Well, it was amazing even for us, and I've been on the board for a number of years, and I've been part of Teesri family for many years, even before I was on the board. I wasn't kidding, by the way. I did see Where the Blood Mixes 8 times in English, and I think 3 times in French. But it, so much to learn because the history is so rich. And that's what I think we really have to spread the word about. So feel free to spread that word, because there's so much interesting history from the company that people unfortunately don't yet know. And I think that that's the one real gift we can give back to Teesri, is sharing that message, that there's just so many wonderful stories that have transited through Teesri, and that we can bring back as well if there's interest. So.
Was Amisha wanted me to speak about any of that? I thought that it was all answered, but
it was.
Yes, it was all answered. Thank you, Rahul. Actually, if you could remind me, when is the next production happening? Counter Offense, I believe it is, right?
Yeah, Counter Offense will open March 14th, and it's going to run till April 3rd or 4th. So I don't exactly remember the date, but it's mid-March. It is opening at the Seagull Center for the Arts. And in June, Psycho is happening in June, and the date is yet to be determined about Meet Me.
Actually, just to clarify, it's March 12th, Saturday, March 12th for Counter Offense. And I believe Saturday, June 10th for Psycho 6 at the Montreal Arts Intercultural.
And Julie and Marjorie's play will be May 13th, I guess.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, Counter Offense is at the Seagull. Yeah. I saw it when it opened, and I will go see it when it opens again. It was a brilliantly staged play, just really wonderful. So I'm looking forward to seeing it reopen. And as I said at the beginning, Psycho 6, when I saw just the staged reading, I was captivated. So I'm looking forward to seeing the full production.
For sure. And just to let you know about Meet Me, exactly, it's going to be, dates are still TBA because it's going to be held on the McGill campus, and it's still, with COVID, a little bit tricky for them to get in there and determine where exactly they'll be, but it's actually a multi-venue production. I believe there's 3 different locations where they'll actually travel, the audience travels in between venues, and it's also multimedia interactive. From what I've heard about it, it sounds almost like a choose your own adventure, where each audience member will have a technology, an iPad or something, where they actually choose what the character will do next in the story. So it's actually going to be very exciting.
Yeah, we're trying to keep campus as open as possible right now, but the guidelines are changing almost daily. So McGill's where I work, so yeah. Any other questions, comments, complaints? No complaints.
Well,
I just wanted to say that I am really pleased of being part of the board members, and during all this year I've had the opportunity to listen to your story, to know how much you work on behalf of Teesri, and I want to celebrate your 40 years and reaffirm that I am with you next year, and say it openly because I feel my commitment with the same ideas that you're every year like trying to transform the world. And I am really honored of having learned that much today also. Thanks, Russell, for that amazing game. But yeah, just I was thinking how inspiring you are, and how can we build bridges. And yeah, I just want to say that congratulations to Teesri for these 40 years.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that, so one of the things that I could say in an immediate context is this project which is in the making called Artists United Against Racism, which I talked about it, although we call it Artists United Against Racism, but essentially it's Artists United to build respect across the races. That's the ultimate goal here. But there has to be a much more difficult conversations to occur on the question of racism. I think that we have always, I mean, right now this country is under a discussion where colonizing, anti-oppression, anti-racism, decolonization, equity, inclusion, diversity is being discussed. Very often the discussion about the diversity is not what it means to the country, but more of a management of diversity by doing some symbolic activities. But we have to question that there is nothing new about this. These things existed because Canada was much more diverse prior to European contact. It was multicultural, it was multi-community, it was multilingual. It was definitely not Eurolingual. So the claim that we didn't know something about it, and the claim that this so-called founding country, this awareness of colonial history existed, and the work that went on the stages reflected that. Now we are in a position where we are boldly saying that no, what you dismissed as political was actually more real than your apolitical work that you did in context of the conventional theater, which was mostly about self-awareness and self-gratification. So we want to raise much deeper discussion in the project Artists United Against Racism. I will deeply invite you to join that. There are multiple activities will happen, and multiple people will take part. So let's talk about it and bring out much deeper discussions on that. So because the good information, new information, more real information ought to come out. And I think that these activities that I'm talking about, these webinars, I don't want to treat them as a secondary activity, because they are not. They are just as much part of our artistic process as production itself. So do join us, because there is, and I forgot to mention also is that many universities have banded together now to do a 7 million study, and Teesri is involved in there. This happened just a few weeks ago, to try to impact the educational curriculum. Because some of the thing is that why people do not know about other people is because their material is not taught. And they keep circulating a very colonial literature, and it just does not brighten their minds. So we deprive the students, we actually punish the students if we do not tell them the real history and the real stories. So several universities have gotten together to work on pedagogy, on anti-oppression, anti-racism, decolonization, equity, diversity, and inclusion. We are part of that. So it is therefore some of these works that we are talking about are not secondary work. They are very important work. If we can succeed in that, then the rest of the work will also succeed. And I really believe that I often critique on some of the work goes on, but our work and the work of more radical companies will be good only if other people's work is equally good and equally given in real importance. So we are interested in really developing the art scene from a very progressive viewpoint.
Thank you, Rahul. You know, the mission of the theater company has, I think, created space for so many artists of color, so many playwrights of color, but also drawn attention to so many important issues that otherwise would have gone unrecognized. So I think collectively we would all agree we're so grateful that Teesri exists, that we're doing the work that we're doing, and that we've had 40 years of history, and hopefully we'll have 40 more. So thank you everyone so much for joining us here this evening. It's been a pleasure to be with you, to share with you, to look at our rich 40 years of history, plan for the 40 years that are coming. And on that note, we have to officially close the AGM since it's an annual tradition. So it's 7:37 p.m. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Wishing everyone happiness and health and continued strength for the struggles ahead. We are with you. Have a good evening and good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you.
Thank you.